Trust account expenses, the who and how.
Hello, and welcome to our deep dive into trust accounts, specifically focusing on trust account expenses. We're going to tackle who is responsible for these expenses and how they are paid. Let's get started.
What are trust account expenses?
Trust account expenses are costs associated with managing a trust account. Trust accounts, also known as fiduciary accounts, are accounts in which a trustee holds funds for the benefit of another party, the beneficiary. The expenses can include administrative fees, taxes, legal fees, investment fees, and others that arise in the process of managing the trust.
Who is responsible for trust account expenses?
The responsibility for trust account expenses usually falls on the trustee. The trustee is the individual or entity appointed to manage the trust. They have a fiduciary duty to manage the trust assets in the best interest of the beneficiary. As part of this duty, they are also generally responsible for ensuring that any expenses associated with the trust are paid. This could mean that they either pay the expenses directly from the trust assets, or they might need to use their own personal funds in certain situations. It's important to note that the specific responsibilities of the trustee can vary based on the terms outlined in the trust agreement. Therefore, in some cases, the trust itself or even the beneficiary might be responsible for certain expenses.
How are trust account expenses paid?
Trust account expenses are typically paid directly from the trust assets. The trustee would withdraw funds from the trust account to cover the costs associated with managing the trust, such as legal fees or administrative costs. In certain situations, if the trust lacks sufficient assets to cover an expense, the trustee might need to use their own personal funds. This is more common in cases where the trustee has failed to properly manage the trust assets, leading to a loss. However, this largely depends on the terms of the trust. In some trusts, it might be specified that certain expenses should be covered by the beneficiary. In such a case, the trustee would need to arrange for the beneficiary to cover these costs. That's a wrap on our discussion about trust account expenses. As we've seen, these expenses are typically the responsibility of the trustee and are usually paid directly from the trust account. But as always, the terms of the trust itself ultimately dictate who is responsible and how the expenses are paid. Thank you for watching this video, and we hope that it has provided you with some valuable insights into the world of trust accounts and their associated expenses.